Hello, 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 and welcome to another episode of the Happiness Retreat. I am your host, Kimberly Trebs, and today we have the good fortune to be in conversation with my dear friend and colleague, the beautiful and multi-talented Deborah Brewer, who is a practitioner of the emotion code, the body code, and pranic healing. Utilizing these tools, Deborah guides people past trauma, both physical and emotional pain, to living a peaceful and purposeful life. Hello, Deborah, and thank you so much for taking your time to share with us today.
Well, hello, and thank you for having me. I feel very honored and special to be here today.
Well, everyone hearing what you have to share is going to be very honored that you showed up. So, Deborah, as this conversation is all about spirituality and the soul and becoming the master of your own energy, I am so happy you're here to tell us how understanding the emotion code is a vehicle for transformation. So, Deborah, can you please start by telling us a little bit about your background, your education, and what prompted you in becoming interested in energy healing?
Well, I've always been in some type of service work for people. I love people and I love working with them. So I got my degree in interior design and for 13 years designed model homes and worked with a lot of people's custom homes and helping them to create their sacred space. And so that took a lot of getting to know people. And then when I became a single mom of three sons, I needed to have a career where I could be at the ball games to pick them up from school, where I could work at night while they were sleeping. So I did residential real estate for 20 years. I've always helped people in my life or moved them into my home or been a shoulder to cry on and I really felt the calling to serve people in a different way. So a few years ago, I really started researching energy work. And I spent many years getting bronchitis and pneumonia. And I wanted to find a better way of how I could heal myself instead of ending up on, prednisone and Z-Pax and everything else. So ironically, the past 2 years, I have been well, and especially in a pandemic that's pretty amazing for somebody who's had a medical history like mine.
Wow.
And when I found the emotion code, it changed my life. And that was developed by Dr. Bradley Nelson. He has two modalities, the emotion code and the body code. And the emotion code helps people to find out where their energy field has been invaded by something, be it a trauma, a physical trauma, an emotional trauma, something they heard, something they saw, and it can morph into physical disease. And I'm not convinced that some of my sicknesses weren't due to something like that. And so the emotion code helps to ease emotional wounds, restore love to relationships. It helps to break the cycles of self sabotage, um, resolve physical discomforts, chronic health problems. It's not a replacement for regular Western medicine, but a lot of times it can help to guide Western medicine as well. And oftentimes, when you go to the doctor and you say, there's something wrong, I'm feeling this pain, that pain, and they keep telling you there's nothing wrong with you. Well, it's because it could be an emotional pain that's been trapped inside of your body.
I concur. And, when we use the word trauma in the introduction, I mean, honestly, the worst thing that has ever happened to you is literally the worst thing that has ever happened to you. It is your worst trauma. And some people don't realize that these things, it doesn't have to be a car accident, it doesn't have to be a divorce, it could be something, you could have been made fun of in the schoolyard.
Yes,
I mean,
absolutely.
tell us about that.
So, what happens is we have an emotion. It could trap when you're 5 years old. So you got the emotion of fear, or you were bullied. And now all of a sudden you're an adult and something happens. Somebody, a coworker says something, or your spouse or a friend, and all of a sudden you go back to 5 years old. The feeling hits and you remember that. You might not necessarily remember that you were 5 years old when it happened, but you remember that feeling. So the child could be living in your present and predicting your future. And so with the emotion code, we ask a question. Uh, do I have a trapped emotion, or does Kimberly have a trapped emotion that causes her to feel fear when she goes into crowds? And what I do is connect into the subconscious. So I set myself aside. I get permission to connect to your subconscious. I always ask for help from above. And and then we ask. And your subconscious has a record of everything that's happened in your life. Whether it doesn't say it's good, doesn't say it's bad, it just says this happened, this happened, this happened. And so only about 5% of our mind is used in our conscious mind, and the other 95% is our subconscious. So it's just like that poster you see with the iceberg, where the little bit of the iceberg is on top and the big iceberg's on the bottom. It's pretty much the same thing, and we probably have over 300 trapped emotions. So it's really amazing how freeing it can be. And most people will say, wow, I feel so much lighter after the session. And um, as far as how many sessions does it take to get through one trapped emotion, I can't answer that. Your subconscious is the guide, so it could be one session, it could be 5 sessions. And your subconscious may only let you release so much at a time. And you could have something that was inherited from generations back. You could have something that happened when you were in the womb that you don't even know about. So we have some of these emotions and these feelings going on that we don't even know why, and it's because how could we in our conscious mind?
Yeah, absolutely. So then memories of situations, I mean, I guess, your subconscious mind keeps a log, for a
Yeah.
better word, of everything that happened to you. And during those experiences of just this log of events, you develop your reaction to that. And it could be an emotion that is a low vibration emotion like fear or guilt or worry.
Yes,
And
exactly.
so is there then a pattern that builds upon these emotions being more solidified? Is that why you get a physical ailment because of repetition, or how does that work?
It very well could be. So, what happens sometimes is as we're going through, we find out somebody has a heart wall or even a hidden heart wall. And this emotion keeps popping up so many times that we've built a wall around our heart.
Oh.
And so it could be miles thick. And the wall could be made of anything. It could be made of wood, of flowers, of shrubs, of trees. But we keep putting this layer of protection. Oh, that was that feeling. So I'm going to put another layer here so I don't have to feel that. That's what my teacher told me. I'm a bad test taker. And my boss told me that I don't know how to work a cash register. And this person said, you're no good at this. Our heart radiates out energy 8 to 12 feet from our bodies. And so we could be looking at somebody and be smiling and happy and going, oh, I want to be involved in that. I want to be with those people. And they're looking at you saying, oh, I want to, I want to be involved with you too. And as they get closer, the first layer of energy is like, yeah, I don't know, stay away. Then the next layer is, yeah, you're getting a little bit too close. And so we have this wall of protection and we can't figure out why am I not getting that job? And subconsciously we're saying, wow, well, I'm probably not as good as the other person that's applying for the job.
Mm.
Well, I hope my interview is good, but maybe they're not seeing through, or and so we self-sabotage without even knowing we're self-sabotaging. And once we remove those layers and those veils that are blocking us, the sky is the limit. And I can tell you from experience and working with hundreds of people with the emotion code and the body code, which is a whole nother modality in itself, that people have transformed. And I've watched the growth and pains disappear, and it's amazing.
Yeah. Well, we are definitely going to have another discussion on another episode about the body code. That's number one. But let's go back to the heart wall because this is really interesting for me. So I'm going to ask this question, then I'm going to have another one. I'm just full of questions today. So the heart wall, you're saying that we can actually, I think I heard you say, you could develop a protective wall that can be way further out than 10 feet
Oh, yeah.
from your body.
It can be 10 miles, 20
Okay.
miles, 50 miles.
So is there a particular emotion that builds that wall, or could it be every negative emotion that
Anything.
helps? Ah,
Anything. And
okay.
and what'll happen is, as we're going through the emotion code, we might come upon an emotion of anxiety, and we can't figure out where anxiety is. So then I ask, is this a heart wall? And it might say no. So then I go to hidden heart wall. Once we discover the hidden heart wall, then it just becomes a regular heart wall. And then we keep asking, in this heart wall, is there another trapped emotion? So there could be a list of trapped emotions in the heart wall. And those sometimes can be a little more time consuming to release. Might take 2 sessions, might take 3 or 4. Again, just depending on the person and the depth of it. It purely depends on the person.
Okay. Okay. So, so I'm hearing that you work on the heart wall or the hidden heart wall, but like, what if my pain is in my arm? Do emotions get trapped in other parts of the body?
Yeah.
And do you work with other parts of the body?
Yes, the emotions can get trapped anywhere.
Okay.
Not just in your heart. You could have a pain in your arm, and the pain in your arm, or have a pain in your leg, and that was that's where the trapped emotion decided to manifest. Like maybe you saw something and you couldn't stand it. Now all of a sudden your knee starts hurting, or your hip starts hurting, and I can't stand it. Well, you can't stand up. Well, you got hit with that trapped emotion. And until you realize that and you go through it, you're going to have an issue there.
Well, now you're really making me think. So let's go to the example of someone saying, I can't stand that.
Right.
It could be a situation, it could be a person. So which came first? Did a negative experience come first and then the person started talking about it and then they got the pain in the leg? Or does it happen in a different order? How does that work?
It can happen like that. Say you go somewhere, you're at a party, you watch somebody who's being mistreated, and you're like, I can't stand that. And you're thinking about it and you leave. You might not say anything, but you leave, and all of a sudden you get home and you can't get out of your car. You're limping because you can't walk. And that is stuck in your head saying, I can't stand it. I can't stand it. So until that connection is made and you realize, oh, and you release it. Now, it could manifest, but then it doesn't come up again until something else happens that you can't stand. And now they stack on each other. So it may be immediate and it may be years later. Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Okay. Wow. So you talked about it might take multiple sessions. So,
Good.
and that depends upon the person's psyche, whether it wants to release something or not.
Right.
But let's say I'm coming to you because I have a problem. I get, I don't know, 25% release because I'm pretty stubborn. No, No one that knows me would ever say that. Anyway.
So funny.
So let's say I need other sessions. How often then could I come? How much time do you need between sessions, or how does that work?
Well, each session, typically the first session is about an hour because we talk about a lot of things, and typically sessions are 20 minutes to half an hour. And I like at least 3 days to go by in between sessions because the first 48 hours post session, 20% of the people are going to really feel that energy moving around in their bodies. They may become a little more emotional. They may feel flu like symptoms, and they may get really tired. And then after that, you really start seeing a difference. The other 80% of the people, some people don't feel anything right at the beginning, but as their days go on in their lives, they realize things are moving easier for them.
Nice. So they could be moving easier in both their body and their mind, or
Yes.
either, or both.
Yes.
Like, which one do they
It
follow
depends
each
on
other?
what it depends on what we're working on. Sometimes when we're working on something that has to do with pain, it could clear something emotional and vice versa. It's very interesting how interlinked. It's almost like a web. Sometimes, we create this and then this sticks in there and that sticks in there. And as we start getting rid of one thing, it could just get rid of the other thing. So in the body code, like we said another time, but we find a lot of that going on in that modality, and it incorporates the emotion code.
Oh, got
So
it.
it's just energy moving. We're all energy. I mean, we're solid matter energy, and then there's invisible energy. So that's invisible energy, and it's hard sometimes for people to understand that, but
Well, it's hard for us to understand for a couple of reasons. One, we've been taught that, the hippies were crazy, and the the yogis and the meditators in India are crazy, and the Chinese who do qigong are crazy. Like, we were taught
I
that traditional, sorry, not traditional, the Native Americans were crazy, but we were taught that, mainstream, go to the pharma cabinet, go to the doctor, have surgery. That's your only way. I mean, I think nowadays people are coming around to the 5,000, the 8,000, the 10,000-year-old modalities that have been working. I mean, there's 8 billion people on this planet. It did not happen by taking a bare aspirin, right?
No, I have torn meniscuses in both of my knees. And I got my MRIs, and I was told you probably need knee surgery. Well, I'm a needle phobic. I don't want to be in the hospital. I don't want to take pills. I'm not saying don't get a surgery that you need to get, but I started following people like Dr. Bradley Nelson and Dr. Joe Dispenza, and realizing that you can really heal things by releasing these negative energies. And so 2 years ago, I was walking with a cane, literally, oftentimes, and I could hardly walk. My knees would swell up, and um, my knees are fine now. Now, are my meniscus still torn? Yes. I mean, I'm not doing lunges, but my knees aren't swelling anymore. And so I keep working on that and working on different parts of my body. And I realize how energy and how other people's energy that come into your energy field can affect things that go on, because other people can put negative energy into your field and you don't even know it. So I mean, we could talk for hours about this. There's a lot of layers to it,
Yeah.
but that is the nutshell, pretty much, of the emotion code. Releasing yourself of anxiousness, sadness, fear, depression. You know, e- Even and I can speak from experience with kids who had ADHD, where working with them a little bit uh, has helped to calm them. So
Mhm.
I'm not saying it's an answer for everything, but it's certainly a great place to start where you're drug free and non invasive.
Yeah. And it's a compliment literally to any other thing you are doing, even if it is
Right,
you're getting a surgery, it's still a compliment to healing
right.
after the surgery.
The other thing is I work with animals, and I have people
Ah.
call me and say, "Oh, my dog is sad," or "My dog is anxious," or and especially with rescues and working with them is really amazing in connecting to them and finding out. I can't find out exactly what happened, but I see pictures that come in and it's like, wow, this poor, and this is what I'm hearing. And and they seem better. And so I love working with animals. And I do a lot of distance healing. So I can do it over the phone. I can do it via Zoom or Skype, and or you can send me a picture. It doesn't matter. You don't have to have a picture. I would say 80% of my clients were just over the phone.
Ah,
And
okay.
before COVID, people would come to my office. So right now I'm doing distance, but
Okay.
again, I could do it via Zoom, so somebody could see what we're doing, or we just do it
Great.
over the phone.
Oh, I love it. So, let's go back briefly to give us a little blip it on the other modalities that you offer.
The body code, which was also developed by Dr. Bradley Nelson, and that talks about we look for imbalances in the body. So we would say, does Kimberly have an imbalance that's causing her to have right shoulder pain? And then we would go through, there's 300 at least different maps that I go through, and we can find out that her shoulder is hurting because she had an issue um, with her leg, or with her muscles being disconnected, or it could be something completely different than what you could even imagine. Um, I had a woman who would get sciatica to the point that she couldn't even walk. And she had an energetic knife in her back. And as soon as we removed that and we found out who put it there, she said, "My pain's gone." She has not had sciatica again. And she'd be in bed for a couple weeks at a time.
Wow.
So it's amazing what words can do to people.
Mhm.
And, just, somebody saying, "Oh, I just want to strangle that person." And somebody might start getting, something wrong with their neck. And energy and words are powerful. So, and then I also do pranic healing, which has to do with the energy, toxic and gray energies inside of the body. So we disintegrate that, and we work a lot with the chakras. Pranic healing deals with 11 main chakras instead of 7 that typically people hear about. And we have a lot of chakras in our body, small ones, little. I don't want to get too complicated with it right now, but there's different forms of pranic healing as well. Sometimes I find as we're doing any of these techniques that I use, that I might have to mix them, or once we finish one, the next time we digress to something else and then come back to what we were working on, because you need something else. I don't think there's just one fix for anything. you know um, I get acupuncture. I love acupuncture, and that helps certain things in my life. I have somebody else that I do Octarian healing with, and that's another modality. I have, I do emotion code and body code on myself. So I really think that you need to see what fits for you and what feels right. And your body will tell you if you listen. We all have the ability. It's just we need to listen. I don't have this special gift that I've been given, but it's the gift that I am most I'm most open to, I guess.
Well, Deborah, this has been fascinating. And I can vouch for the body code, which you will come back and talk to us another day. It was it felt to me a very structured and systematic way of honing in on what the issue was. And I have gotten relief. So thank you, thank you, thank you for that. And we'll talk about that next time.
Okay, great.
And we have your website information and your email information. So be ready for people
Thank
to
you.
contact you because it's really a great gift that you're giving. It's a great service that you're providing. And I'm glad that you're passionate about it because it's a great modality.
I I love it. I feel like this is what I've been called to do for a long time, and I've just been fighting it. I don't know.
Well, thank goodness the fight is over.
I know the fight is over. It's very calm and peaceful now.
Nice. Well, Deborah, thank you for joining us today. I treasure all of your insights and your wisdom, which have been so informative for us all.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. And to everyone watching, thank you for joining us for another episode of the Happiness Retreat. We hope you have gotten some inspiration, some motivation, some guidance, and some clarity with your own soul and in becoming the master of your own energy. So until next time.